Have you ever stopped to think about how a single day on the calendar can be a total crossroads for history? A day that could see the birth of a global icon, the spark of a rebellion, and a moment that just completely rewired how we see reality. Well, today we're going to uncover the hidden history of one of those days, March 31st. So what in the world could possibly connect these three things? I mean, a Parisian landmark, a letter from the American Revolution, and a mind-bending movie. On the surface, they seem completely random, right? But as you're about to see, they're all threads in this extraordinary tapestry of a single 24-hour period just woven together across the centuries. Okay, so our journey starts in Paris, 1889. The city is just buzzing with excitement for the World's Fair, but there's this new structure piercing the skyline that's causing a huge uproar. It's a symbol of both incredible industrial ambition and, believe it or not, some fierce artistic controversy. Next, let's jump in the time machine and head back across the Atlantic. We're landing right in the middle of the American Revolution. And here, a private letter, one that was penned with some serious urgency, is about to make a very public and, frankly, a very radical demand. And for our final clue, we're fast-forwarding to the turn of the 21st century. In dark movie theaters all over the world, millions of people were about to have their minds absolutely blown wide open. So these three moments, they're our anchors. Let's start connecting the dots. So our first theme is all about creation. March 31st has this amazing history of laying powerful foundations. Some of them are forged from iron and steel, while others are built from melodies and ideas that would honestly go on to shape the entire world. On March 31st, 1889, the Eiffel Tower was officially dedicated in Paris. Now, it's really hard to imagine this today, but back then, a lot of critics were just horrified. They called it a useless, monstrous eyesore. It's a pretty powerful reminder of how dramatically our perceptions can change over time. But Gustave Eiffel? He was totally unbothered by the critics. He and his team got this marvel of construction done in just 2 years. And get this, they even came in under budget. For a project of this scale, it was just a staggering achievement of efficiency and genius design. And here's the wild part. The tower actually had to fight for its own survival. It was built as a temporary exhibit for the World's Fair and was literally scheduled to be torn down in 1909. So what saved it? A brand new technology. It turned out to be an incredible radio antenna, which gave it a modern purpose and secured its future. But the creative energy of March 31st wasn't just limited to architecture. This day also laid foundations that you can actually hear. These monumental works that completely transformed the world of music. I mean, just think about the sheer range here. On March 31st, 1685, Johann Sebastian Bach is born, the master whose work basically becomes the bedrock of Western classical music. Then centuries later, on that exact same date in 1943, Oklahoma premieres, and it completely revolutionizes musical theater by weaving song and story together like never before. Two totally different musical revolutions centuries apart on the very same day. Okay, let's switch gears, because for every act of creation, there's often an act of defiance, right? March 31st also carries this powerful spirit of rebellion, of individuals and groups standing up and just saying, nope, no more. This is, without a doubt, one of the most powerful lines from the American Revolutionary era, and it was written on March 31st, 1776. While her husband John was busy trying to create a new nation for men, Abigail Adams wrote him with a very clear warning. Remember the ladies. Don't forget the women. It was a private letter, sure, but it had a public and deeply rebellious declaration. And the context here is just fascinating. Just 2 years earlier, on this exact same day, Britain passed the Boston Port Act to punish and crush the colonists. So you see March 31st transform from a day of oppression by a king into a day of radical demands for inclusion. It's a perfect snapshot of how tyranny can actually ignite rebellion. Now, Abigail Adams's rebellion was with a pen, but the fight for freedom and dignity on this day wasn't just confined to politics. It also entered the boxing ring, and it crossed treacherous mountain passes. On this day, Jack Johnson was born, and he didn't just fight opponents in the ring. He fought a deeply, deeply racist society to become a champion. And then, in 1959, the Dalai Lama undertook this incredibly dangerous journey into exile to escape occupation and become a global symbol of peaceful resistance. Different battles, different eras, but the exact same spirit of defiance. So this brings us to our third and maybe most mind-bending theme, because sometimes an event doesn't just build something new or rebel against the old, sometimes it completely shatters our perception of what's even real. March 31st has seen moments that fundamentally rewired our understanding of cinema, geopolitics, and even pop culture. On March 31st, 1999, The Matrix hit theaters. And look, it wasn't just a movie, it was a visual earthquake. This effect, bullet time, literally changed the language of action movies forever. It wasn't more than just a cool trick, it was the perfect visual metaphor for the film's central question: what if the reality you know isn't real at all? And wow, did this new vision of reality pay off? The movie was a colossal success, pulling in over $470 million worldwide. It proved that at the dawn of a new digital millennium, audiences were just hungry for films that challenged them, both visually and intellectually. It redefined what a sci-fi blockbuster could even be. But, a shift in reality doesn't always happen on a movie screen. Sometimes it's the collapse of an entire world order, happening quietly with just the stroke of a pen. On March 31st, 1991, the Warsaw Pact, the entire military alliance of the Soviet bloc, was formally dissolved. For nearly 40 years, it had defined the Cold War. It was a pillar of geopolitical reality. And then, with the stroke of a pen, that pillar was simply gone. And sometimes, a reality is altered by profound loss. When Selena was killed on this day in 1995, she was only 23 years old. And the shock didn't just end a life, it immortalized an icon. Her death fundamentally changed the reality for Tejano music, catapulting it to mainstream attention and cementing her incredible legacy forever.
So in the end, you see, the Eiffel Tower, Abigail Adams' letter, and The Matrix, they're not so different after all. They are all essential chapters in the story of March 31st. They show us that a single day can be a blueprint for how we build our world, a battlefield for how we fight to change it, and a flashpoint that transforms our entire perception of reality.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As you go about your day-to-day, what moments are happening right now? What towers are being built? What letters are being written? What ideas are being born that people are going to be talking about hundreds of years from now? What is the hidden history that we are all making today?